Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to be giving you all my top 10 guitar heroes. Let's get into it. So what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name's Ray. I'm a guitar player here on YouTube. I'm really excited to knock out this video because we're going to be talking about my roots, my influences, all the above, right? The players that make me who I am today, like, you know, how they molded me. My guitar heroes, you know, my influences, all the above. A lot of you guys ask me, like, who's your biggest influence or who inspires you the most in writing and or playing? So this video is kind of just to knock out all those questions here in one kind of concentrated, centric video. Before I give you guys my list, be sure to leave your guitar heroes, your most influential guitar players down below in the comments, and I'll meet you down below, and we'll talk all things guitar heroes, okay? If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to subscribe, and with that, let's get on into my list, shall we? So let's dive on in, man. I got 10 definitive answers and 1 honorable mention. Starting off with the honorable mention is Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi. I said it in my last video, if you guys caught that with my Balaguer Toro, that Richie Sambora had a huge influence on me with one VHS tape in particular, that is An Evening with Bon Jovi. That was filmed like at the end of 1992. So that VHS is very sentimental to me because it reminds me of my dad, and you know, he's a Jersey boy, or he was a Jersey boy, and you know, he loved Bon Jovi. And although, like, you know, the 80s shredders aren't exactly my thing, but like out of all, like, I don't know, like the Nuno Betancourts, the Steve Vai's, the Satrianis, the Mick Marses, you know, the George Lynch's, etc., that whole kind of era of like hair metal, we'll say, the CC DeVille's or whatever. Richie Sambora is definitely my guy. You know, I love that he played Strats with Floyd's. I think that's super rad. Yeah, just overall, just out of all of the 80s guys, that's my favorite. All right, now let's start off with the actual top 10 list. Now, I'm going to do a little cop-out thing real quick because 9 and 10 are interchangeable. They're both tied for these two individuals. I couldn't pick one or the other, and I didn't want to, but they both have equally the same amount of influence on me. And that is Ola Englund and Ryan Bruce. Like I said, you could swap them in and out, 9 and 10. They're in the same spot. But the reason why they're on this list is because I look up to those two gentlemen equally on a daily basis. They're doing what I want to do at a much grander scale. They've certainly been around, you know, twice as long, if not 3 times as long as I have. But yeah, man, they're doing what I aspire to be one day. You know, hopefully someday, sooner rather than later. But yeah, I can just look at those guys and just like see that, you know, they kind of just started with a camera and a dream, kind of like how I did. And now Ola, you know, has Solar Guitarist, Fluff has Dragged Under, Ola has, you know, Feared and The Haunted, you know, Fluff is with Ernie Ball Music Man, and soon to be an announced Fishman artist, like, or signature pickup artist, etc., man. So like all the above, dude. I just look up to those two dudes, and just really thankful to call both of them my friends, which is amazing. But apart from that, they just really inspire me and motivate me to continue to push my musical career. Alright, surprise, surprise, number 8, Jim Root. Now, Jim's on this list for the obvious, but the fact that he plays Strats and Tellys and Jazz Masters, kind of dad rock shapes, but puts his own kind of modern and metal twist on it, on his gear and his playing, that's super, you know, awesome for me. You know, self-titled, IO, and Volume 3, those 3 albums are very sentimental to me. Being a little kid, first hearing drop B guitar and just like how heavy things could get, because I came from classic rock land with my dad. But yeah, I mean, Jim's obviously, you know, just an amazing player and heavily influential to not only me, but everybody else. Number 7, Stephen Carpenter from Deftones. Now, upon making this list, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when I was starting to think about this list, you know, getting ready to film it and or, you know, whatever, Ernie Ball released the String Theory Stephen Carpenter, and like, what perfect timing, because, you know, just listening to him talk about his riffs and his writing style is awesome, man. Like, he is not a shredder in the slightest. You know, he's very simplistic, minimalistic, but he just writes really awesome, catchy, bouncy riffs. And that's something that I find heavily influential and inspiring for myself, because, you know, you don't have to play a million notes. You can only play, you know, 2 if you want. For example, you've seen The Butcher. It's just 2 notes, that opening riff. And it's amazing, and it's so heavy and so awesome. So yeah, Steph really just has like a huge impact on me and my playing, combining ambient tones with, you know, heavy 8-string or low-tuned 7-string riffs. It's just perfect, so, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer to put him on this list. Number 6 is Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols. Now, you know, what can I say, man? Just a punk rock legend, right? But the thing I love about Steve's playing is just very simple, you know, catchy, heavy riffs in standard tuning back in 1976, 77, 78. with the Sex Pistols. But yeah, plays a Les Paul Custom. You know, I obviously love Gibson Les Paul Customs and Gibsons in general. But yeah, just all about the attitude and all about the nasty riffs, and you don't have to just shred people's face off, similar to Stefan. So Steve, you know, definitely belongs on this list for me. All right, now we're in the top five. Top five, number 5 for me is Wes Borland. Now, what I think is awesome about Wes Borland is he's like no longer underrated anymore. You know, for the last forever, he's always been like everybody's go-to answer for most underrated. But I think it's kind of cool and kind of funny how like Limp Bizkit has like surpassed all the hate, and like now they're kind of like that legend status, and people kind of finally understand what Limp Bizkit's all about. You know, I understood it when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. But like the fact that the masses kind of get it now, and people that had been hating on him and bashing on him are kind of more accepting and realizing that, you know, it doesn't have to be also serious, and also like, you know, I don't know. It's allowed to be a little tongue-in-cheek sometimes, just music and art. But, you know, Wes Borland just has some of the best guitar tones and best riffs, catchy riffs, unique riffs. Match that again, similar to Steph, just like really ambient kind of clean tones mixed in. So yeah, Wes Borland, no longer underrated anymore. It took everybody, you know, 25 years to realize that, but, you know, it's just really awesome that he, as well as Limp Bizkit, are among, like, legends and are on the legend status of bands now. All right, this one's coming out of left field. Number 4 is Jeff Lynne from Parkway Drive. Now, Parkway Drive is a band that I don't really listen to too much anymore, but the first 4 albums, and specifically the first 2 albums, were, like, on repeat in my teenage years, in my angsty years, right? And that era and those 2 albums really made me become, more obsessed with Drop B than, say, Slipknot. Jeff Lynne's writing style was the combination of technical and difficult, but yet still catchy, melodic, and, you know, musical, and kind of still easier to play. So it was just perfect, man. Like, I could play Killing with a Smile, Horizons, Deep Blue, and parts of Atlas, just front to back. But especially the first 2 albums, man. Like, that was my jam. That was my bread and butter. So those 2 albums made me become obsessed with Drop B and the Drop B sound, and, you know, Jeff's writing, just amazing riffs, dude. All right, top 3. These are kind of cliche, but here we go. Number 3, Stevie Ray Vaughan. The thing I love about Stevie Ray Vaughan and why he influences me the most is he's a showman. I think Stevie Ray Vaughan in Double Trouble live was infinitely better than Stevie Ray Vaughan in Double Trouble in the studio. Like a night and day, completely different piece. You know, the songs on the albums they're, you know, classic and great, but just the visuals attached to the overall sonic quality of the band just took it to a whole nother level. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan looked like he was playing Possessed, as well as playing like so effortlessly. Like, looked like he was barely even trying, yet still pouring his heart and soul into the music at the same time. Very hard to do and very hard to describe to somebody just, you know, listening to what I just said there. But yeah, just an amazing showman, an amazing performer, and just like what beautiful blues tone that he had. It was gnarly, it was heavy, but still blues and grounded in rock and roll and the blues. So yeah, just, you know, nothing too crazy with Stevie Ray Vaughan being on this list, but he definitely belongs on there for me, and those are the reasons why. All right, top 2, process of elimination. You probably know what the top 2 are, but let's dive on in. Number 2, Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page, to me, is the quintessential riff writer. You know, people say he had blazing solos and stuff, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And, like, his leads were astounding. They were solid. I mean, you know, wrote some of the best solos of all time. Don't get it twisted. But I'm just saying, I think his riffs stand out so much more than his lead playing. And it was just, you know, being 6, 7, 8 years old when my dad would show me like Bring It On Home or you know, I don't know, Heartbreaker, you know, all Led Zeppelin 2 basically. Just such iconic riffs, you know, Heartbreaker, Whole Lotta Love, Dazed and Confused, Communication Breakdown, Good Times, Bad Times, Kashmir. You know, I'm drawing a blank right now. Nobody's Fault But Mine. Yeah, I could keep going on, but just the riffs, man. Black Dog, you know, oh shit, I gotta stop. I could go all day. But my point is like iconic riff after iconic riff. And Jimmy Page, although he was flashy, flamboyant, and super fast, he shined best when he kind of held back and just played an awesome riff. You know what I mean? Like, I think the quintessential of that is like, how many more times? Simple riff, yeah, just plays it for like 8 minutes off and on in a song. So, yeah, Jimmy Page obviously belongs on everybody's list in my opinion, and he's number 2 for me. But my number 1, you guys know what my number 1 is going to be. My number 1 is Eddie Van Halen. Now, it's not for the reasons why most people I think would put him on there. I mean, obviously he had great tone, great gear, great looks, great, just, I don't know. He made guitar, like tinkering with guitars and modding guitars cool. Like he was like one of the pioneers to do that. But the thing I love about him the most and why he's my #1 guitar hero, especially as I am an artist myself now and becoming older and creating art, I love listening to the isolated guitars on the Van Halen albums, especially in the early days, because they are so raw and so unpolished. Sloppy's not the word, but one could say that and I would know what you're talking about. It is rather raw and just a human element there. And I think that's something that I really am inspired by and aspired to create myself here in 2022, because modern music is everything but raw and have a human element. It's like all cut to pieces, all time aligned, all that stuff. And we always hear that, you know, people always complain about that, yet we still do it and you know, create music that way. But as I get older, I kind of understand now why people love the old school stuff, because of the human element and human aspect of it. Even going back to Led Zeppelin real quick, like there's like telephones ringing in the backs of tracks and stuff like that, like from in the studio, and they left it in. There's airplanes flying overhead. So the same kind of principles and ideas with Eddie Van Halen's playing is in there as well. Like he's not perfect, he's not clean 100%. There's some mistakes in the tracks, especially in the isolated guitar tracks, and I love that. You know, a lot of you guys ask me what are my favorite new bands to listen to, and I say every time, I don't really listen to new music anymore. I kind of listen to Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and the Sex Pistols. That's really all I listen to. And the reason being is because of those reasons I just explained, the human element, the human aspect. And that's something that I'm trying my very best to implement into my own music. I got projects coming out here in 2022 and early 2023 that are very human oriented, and I don't want them to be polished. So, not making it all about me, talking about Eddie Van Halen, the player, just, you know, an amazing player. What hasn't been said already about Eddie's playing and tone and gear and all that stuff. The reason why he's most inspirational to me is because he has all that flash and all that amazing qualities in his tone and his playing, but still keeps it raw and, you know, human. So that's the reason why he's #1 in terms of my guitar heroes and most influential to me. So everybody, that's my list. What do you guys think of my list? Leave your thoughts down below. If you guys want to play along and put your list down below, I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I am out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay metal. I'll see you guys next time. Later.